Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1970s Stray Cat Rock Wild Jumbo. This is the second film in the Stray Cat Rock series, which is part of this Arrow Box Blu-ray release that I got limited edition, 50% off on a sale in the month of November. There are 5 Stray Cat Rock films. This is the second one, Wild Jumbo. You can see the review for the first one on this YouTube page as well, Delinquent Girl Boss. But let's get into Wild Jumbo 1970. Wild Jumbo is just like its title. This is a wild mashup of a soup of tons of different flavors, a very complex recipe, and tons of different flavors that kind of you get exposed to as you continue to eat it. This is Wild Jumbo. We essentially have a group of friends, and this group of friends travels and lives in kind of this dead-end apartment, and really kind of they're a bunch of miscreant, like kind of delinquents in some form or fashion, but they're also really nice, and they also have a lot of fun with each other, and you had that much fun with them as well. And you kind of journey with them in the course of a few days, and things are jovial, things are fun, things feel like a teen sex comedy. But then there are just some bad things that happen along the way, and some really weird and wild things, some adventures. You're essentially with this group of friends having these adventures in their crazy ass car, military vehicle, off-road something. The most dangerous car driving I have seen in a movie yet. And the first one, Delinquent Girl Boss, also had some really dangerous car driving, but this one was out of control. And essentially, they get involved in a variety of locations, sending them to a beach, and they get involved in some pretty weighty criminal activity involving a religious group. And there's a lot of fun, and a lot of fun also wrapped up in this. Folks, this is Wild Jumbo. Let's start off with the music for this 1970 film, this Stray Cat Rock film. The music for this film is beautiful. And when I say beautiful, don't think, oh, it's just lush and nice. No, I mean it's just rich, amazing. Just like the title of this film. What a mashup of sounds and styles and feelings and vibes. We have a harmonica, we have a banjo, we have a slide guitar, we have kind of like 70s rock, we have a little bit of psychedelic 70s jam rock. It almost sounds like it could be part of a Grateful Dead jam. We have a little bit of like exploitation 70s sound and groovy music mixed in here as well. And when we have a little bit of music that was from the kind of like in the vibes of the psychedelic classic rock vibes of the first Stray Cat Rock film, Delinquent Girl Boss, but just a little bit there. But what a rich, when you take a harmonica and you take a slide guitar and you take a banjo, and you're mixing these sounds together, you are going to get a very unique vibe. And it actually reminded me of some of the music on the Pinky Violence films. It actually, even a lot on that film, Hasu, House, if you've seen that. Just very, very, yeah, it really reminded me of that. Very complex, very diverse, really creating its own world. Doesn't sound like it's copying anything else. What an amazing soundtrack to this film. What an amazing score. And that moves to the rhythm of the story as well. Now, when we look at the style for this film, wow. I hear the Stray Cat Rock films are stylish. Well, here's the second film. Wild Jumbo has such energy. It's wild, but the camera, especially in near the beginning of the film, is very wild and shaky, very handheld feeling. I think it might have been handheld, and just really, really just energetic and crazy and shaky and nuts. There's a very high level of energy to the film as well. Oh, and I wanted to mention something else about the music in this film. The group of friends are vinyl record collectors. Yeah. And they have quite the collection, and they also listen to a lot of that collection. Anyway, let's get back to the style. Um, we have some a good number of fade to blacks that kind of stop as the movie goes on. But in the first half of the film, or first third of the film, there's a lot of fade to blacks, and we also have a little bit of those fades that have like the fade into a circle and then it comes back in or comes back out. We have a couple of those, and then we have some just really, really wild edits in this film. You know, really quick types of edits that are just happening like wildfire and cutting in with other things. And then um, you know, just some really we got some freeze frame shots to keep freezing as something's happening dramatically, and we also have some sped up motion, changing a car tire, putting up a tent, and we also have probably one of the wildest, most outlandish sequences in the entire film is actually quite a short sequence, and it involves putting comic strip bubbles on real characters and also mixing some animation and comic book animation all of a sudden into it. That is one of the wildest sequences. I got to tell you, I've never seen anything quite like that before. I know I said that for the first Stray Cat Rock film. Well, the style in this film, I've never seen some of those things like that before. Now, the style is not as like in your face outlandish in those other ways as Delinquent Girl Boss, but we have completely other types of outlandish style in this particular film that is just wonderful. The beginnings of these films are just so crazy. The beginning of Wild Jumbo is just high energy. You're getting yourself into something special here, something wild here. Now, in terms of the environments of this film, of course, we got some city. But really, this is almost like a road film because this vehicle that they're driving in is just a character in this damn film. It's so freaking weird and unsafe. This vehicle is politically incorrect in 2016. I mean, talk about no seatbelts. I mean, we don't even have to get into that. It's insane. And it looks like there's no stunt people. And it looks like the people are could actually kill themselves. A couple points you see people jumping on each other's backs and hitting them by accident, and it's madness. It's very, very crazy. And we also spend considerable time on the beach. The temperature in this film is warm. It's hot. So you're getting, you know, there's a very interesting, fun vibe to this film that I mentioned previously, a jovial, fun kind of vibe that really reminds you of a teen sex comedy. But there's some pretty dark things going on that are still treated pretty jovially. I mean, you get sucker punch in this film where you don't know what's happening from scene to scene and you almost flinch because you're scared of what's going to happen scene to scene. Not necessarily scared, actually. You're just like, you don't know the rules. You don't know what the hell's going on. And it's high action, high bizarre, high wildness, and think that the story is developing, and there are all these crazy side things that are going down sometimes, and you're not quite sure if those are going to develop, or you know which one of these side things is going to develop and continue into the film, because for a while the film feels like just a bunch of random adventures, and they're all interesting and all weird. Especially the destruction of an apartment is so weird. But there's this jovial type of vibe, and then there's also darkness in this film. Um, in terms phew, you know, you get emotionally invested in these characters, even though they're not the best characters in the world. I mean, there's some crime involved in these characters' lives, and in the way they get money, and the way they get, you know, and the violence in this film. You know, we have some pretty serious weaponry in this film, and we also have. Just a lot of gunshot wounds and deaths and things like that with that, but you know, a little bit of blood, but it's not, you know, it's not gory, it's not really ultra violent, but the the deaths that are in this film and the minimal blood and the violence from the shootings in this film, they carry a ton of serious impact, especially in light of the jovial, sections of this film. There's even a random stabbing in this film that was really shocking. Um, and so, we're living in a fun world, in an adventure, but at the same time, the world is dark and the world is violent. And but it really mixes these two things together in this concoction that is, as the title says, a wild jumbo, folks. In terms of the sexuality of the film, there's no nudity, but there's, the lead girl, right here, Miko Kaji, who's on the cover. She's in a bikini on the beach, and we have two girls actually in the film who are like the main girls of the film. The cover girl there, and also another girl, and they're very attractive, very sexually attractive, very pretty, and but they have a level of sensuality about them, definitely. But they're one of the guys also. She's one of the guys in this film. She's. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this could almost be an Asian John Hughes film from the '80s. Like 16 Candles or something. I mean, it kind of has that kind of vibe, but in a with some criminals and with some wildness and some violence and some kind of on the underground. You know what I'm saying? And the language in the film though is pretty sexual. Some fucks, talking about sex and things like that. So you do have that sexual vibe about the film. And all I got to say is the ending of this film is eye flinching, and it is freaking amazing. It's powerful, it's intense, it's crazy. I couldn't believe it at all. Um, I was glued to the screen, in the climax, last 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the film. Um, there's just a lot of stuff going on in this film, and it'll keep you on your toes. And there's even a quick cameo from the androgynous actress from the first Stray Cat Rock movie, Delinquent Girl Boss. So just really interesting stuff in this film. Really wild. This film will make you never want to watch a Hollywood movie again. Never want to watch a mainstream movie again. Why would you? Wild Jumbo. You will be spoiled to death. Here it is, folks. 1970s Stray Cat Rock Wild Jumbo movie, part of the Arrow video set. I think it's limited to 3,000 copies only. So there you go, folks. And thank you so much for watching the Ten Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like Wild Jumbo, Stray Cat Rock. Please feel free to check out all my other reviews on this YouTube page and my own personal films at youtube.com/poopy diarrhea. Thank you and good night.